we'll jump right to it. Okay, so I'd love to kind of just hear your story with Kohr Method, how you got started, as well as like, yeah, just like the nitty gritty from the very beginning of the idea to execution.
Sounds good. Interject at any time.
Oh, you're good.
I'll like go on and on for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah. So really, it kind of came to life in the pandemic. Like many businesses, like lots of changes happened with businesses, whether they were born or whatever might have happened to them. And really, it kind of started off as a way to connect with friends and family and community. In combination with every time studios closed, they really didn't seem to know what to do. And instructors within the community were like, they couldn't work. Right.
Yeah.
And this was one, well, in Canada, the way that most businesses are set up for their instructors, it's independent contractor. And when the studio shut down and they don't have work, they don't get paid. So I was bringing a lot of more of the like well-known community instructors onto the Kohr Method platform. At the time, we'd started off digital first, really just over Zoom, and then we did some like on-demand workouts and that kind of thing. And there really wasn't there was a focus. It was really just connection and community and movement and just function and fun. And because most people were at home, it was really like, what can you use in your home? So it was a lot of like Pilates and strength and yoga and that type of thing. So that's really, really how it got started. I kind of worked more on the behind the scenes, the like, what did Kohr Method mean? I worked with a designer friend of mine to really, conceptualize and bring Kohr Method to life. And that was kind of like May 2020. And then we were kind of formally like a real live business, still digital first in September. It was like September 30th, 2020. And that was around the time that I actually met my business partner, Prima Kelly. Her and I were both still working full time, and it really was a passion project, a hobby between the two of us. And it was interesting because we had someone else who was in the mix. She's still an instructor with the studio. She just decided to focus more on her family versus kind of get into the whole entrepreneurial world and the risk that comes with, being an entrepreneur and all that stuff. We were like, no, we get it. Yeah. And so at the time, they both had approached me and they wanted to learn from all the things that I had done bringing Kohr Method to life. And I was like, well, wait, why don't you guys just like join me and I can teach you the ways, and you can either decide to continue and build your own thing or you can stick around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you all meet in the first place? Like, were they just
that's
like
a great question.
or like,
Yeah, so we actually we'd all worked at a previous studio together, and then with the pandemic and everything, we weren't really working with that studio anymore. And then when finally like you could go back to work, we were starting to kind of collaborate together, and we're like, let's just do our own thing. So yeah, we met at another studio. Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
And how did you what was the transition like from taking it online into finding your own like space? What was that process like?
Yeah.
And then I'm also curious, like after the pandemic, were there a lot of other like reformer type studios in the area, or were you guys kind of like the only one left?
That's a good question. Yeah. So we ended up, we stayed virtual for quite some time. In May of 2021, we looked at the space that we're in today. It was kind of like, we only like looked at a handful of spaces, and this was the one we're like, oh, it's so beautiful. And we were still like 2021, we were still in and amongst shutdowns and things like that. And then a year later, May 2022, is when we signed the lease agreement, because just before they reached out and they're like, you guys would be a perfect fit for this space. We'd love for, you guys, of course, they were trying to like fill the space.
For sure.
And so then, yeah, it May through till pretty much the end of November, we were doing our build out of the physical space. And we actually didn't start with reformers. So we started we started with mat Pilates, strength, and the rebounder trampolines. And then it wasn't until October. So we opened officially December 2022. And then it wasn't until October 2023 that we got reformers. And it really was filling a need in the area because no one really had, like, there was a studio in Halifax, one or two studios in Halifax, which is across a bridge. People don't like crossing bridges to
Yeah.
exercise.
Go to Pilates.
Yeah. And then, like, we're the only reformer studio in Dartmouth, and then there is one in Bedford. So there really wasn't like a lot of other options for I thought that would get rid of the blur.
Oh yeah, I know. I think it's coming back in focus. There we go. So
Oh no,
weird.
that didn't work. Weird.
Yeah, maybe if I like, let's see.
Maybe I'll switch my cameras real quick and we'll see if it'll come back.
Well, maybe.
Oh, there
Oh,
we
there
go.
we go. So weird.
Normally I can like shut it off and turn it back on and we're good to
Yeah.
go. Oh yeah, I was just saying that we're really the only reformer studio in Dartmouth, and I don't know, it's so interesting, like geographically people really don't
Yeah.
want to cross a bridge or like go too far for their workouts. So yeah, we're lucky in that regard. We actually are supposed to get 6 more reformers next Friday. They're scheduled to be delivered. So it'll be fun unboxing. It's a lot of
Yes,
work.
a lot of work. How
Yeah.
did that conversation come to be to like transition from more the mat strength rebound to adding the reformers?
Yeah. So we were actually, our lead Pilates instructor and we were undergoing more of a comprehensive Pilates teacher training. And so it was all of the equipment. It was the reformers, it was the towers, the Cadillac, the barrels, the Wanda chair, like everything, all of the chairs, the baby chair, the petty pole, like all of that stuff. And really, well, reformer is so trendy right now. So we were like, of anything, we should jump on that and really just do a functional, safe, fun reformer class. And so that's really how that came about. Yeah.
Amazing. And then how did you decide like how many to start with? Because they are so expensive, like the business side of it. How do you decide like, okay, based off demand, we should buy 5 or 8 or
Yeah.
yeah.
So we actually did a analysis of our square footage, and we thought about our expenses and the square footage, and we really wanted it to be profitable, and we also paired that with our pricing increase. So because we got reformers, we were able to undergo a pricing increase, because no one else, like no other group fitness studio, had equipment like this. So we kind of strategically positioned ourselves between group fitness and really boutique apparatus-based equipment Pilates studios. And so we kind of did that analysis to see, like most of the really small boutique studios have like 4, maybe 6, or then they just jump to like 12 plus, right?
Yeah, so many.
Yeah. So really, that was kind of where we wanted to start. The studio that we were kind of the teacher that we were teacher trainer we were learning under, she had 4 in her studio, and we were like, we could do 6, like that'll be fine. And our cost analysis did prove out that 6 would be profitable. But then we ran into a capacity issue, and it was really interesting. At the end of last year, we ran into an issue where people were starting to turn away. They were doing our 2-week intro, and they're like, this is great, but like, your reformer classes are full for the entire month and they're waitlisted and they don't move. And so people were starting to leave because of that. So I very quickly decided to order more reformers because we're like, we won't have a problem anymore.
Yeah. And when that happens, like, do you first add more just reformer classes and then those also filled up? So it's like, okay, our last resort is to just buy more reformers, or based off your like schedules, you couldn't necessarily add more classes?
So it's a really interesting question because a lot of times that's the answer, is to add more classes. But then the one thing that's really hard, and we've been really, really thoughtful to not totally bloat the schedule. We're really mindful of our capacity. We naturally like to sit around 70 and 80%. We notice that when we hit 80%, we get a lot of like grumbles around the wait lists and people not getting into classes. And that's kind of outside of the reformer classes and that type of thing. And so that is one solution, to look at adding more reformer classes. The one thing that we wanted to think about was, if we purchase these reformers, how many months can we go without having to add more classes? And so when we did that analysis, we did notice that we can probably go about 3 months before we add any other classes. And if we do add other classes, it's probably strength, or maybe yoga, that type of thing. So we kind of planned ahead and forecasted based on where we project to be with our member base, because we do feel like going from 6 to 12 reformers, it'll probably be a while before we consistently see a 12 class. And a lot of times it'll probably just help with the wait list and overcome some of those objections, right?
For sure. Yeah. And then going back to your like full apparatus training, where did you do your Pilates certification from, and what was that process like?
Oh yeah, so we actually did it. There was someone who, like, she owned a business for 15 years in Fredericton. She expanded into like the Bedford area, so
Mhm.
not across the bridge, but a really long highway. And so she's kind of on the other side of town, and she's been running a teacher training program for, oh, I would probably say over the last 10 years, kind of thing.
Wow.
And yeah, and so that program was very comprehensive. Like, the requirement is about 600 hours, but by the end of it, you're probably closer to 800,
My
just
gosh.
because of all of the time and energy that goes into being a fully comprehensively trained teacher. So anyways, that's the program that we had gone through. I love that it was local, because it's so nice to be able to support the people in your community.
Yeah, 1,000%. What do you feel like is something that is like the most difficult part about running a studio?
Ooh, I would say, oh, okay, in general, or as an owner?
Both. I want both.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe I'll answer the owner question first. I would say that, well, one thing that's amazing to reflect on, Kohr Method just turned 2 years old, and I do feel really, really grateful that I have been able to build up a team of amazing women around me to really support the services that we offer, and the day to day, and the, customer service and sales that we provide to our member base, and those, like, that are new, trying out Kohr Method. And like, it would not be possible without these amazing people around me. But I would say, like, building up a team of people that you can trust to run the day to day without yeah, just, completely trust in them.
Yeah.
And so that does take some time, right? Because they need to understand the business as deeply as you do. And I'm still around, and my business partner's still around. We're both officially off the schedule, which is really exciting. It took a little bit longer for my business partner, for her to kind of get out. One of the ways that we really tried to facilitate that is, when we got the reformers, like, she was also reformer trained, and so we kind of had to jump back in to help kind of facilitate the risk that we
Mhm.
that came with rolling out a new service offering like this. And so we actually just rolled out our own reformer teacher training, to
Nice.
help, yeah, exactly, to help kind of, and we use it a bit as like we interview everyone that comes into the program. That way, already from day one, we're kind of interviewing people as if they're potential employees of Kohr Method. And so far, it's worked out really great. We're about to roll out our second training, and we definitely, like, need this influx of teachers. But it's been amazing to be able to really build up the team. But I would say, like, the balance there is not jumping in if you don't have to, and yeah, being able to trust the team, and everything's going to be okay. Like, the biggest thing last year, the biggest challenge was, can myself and my business partner, can we actually, like, leave the province, leave Canada, and go on a vacation, right? And like, be
Yeah.
okay, right? And Prima got away a couple times. Like, I think she was away like 3 different times in the year, and like, I went away. Like, I feel like the my favorite trip was Barbados, like, getting to go away and, like, fully disconnect and relax, and be like, it's gonna be okay. It's just a week, right?
Yeah.
So Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. Do you miss teaching now that you're off the schedule? Does it kind of like do you like that you can like have that space or are you starting to miss it?
Well, I will say, so our lead Pilates instructor, we always close over the holidays, and she decided to take some extended time off. And so I was officially off the schedule as of September last year. And I just jumped in for like, a couple shifts the last 2 weeks, and it was fun. And
Yeah.
and a lot of the community were like, "Are you going to teach more?" And I was like, "I don't know. This was really fun, but
Yeah,
right." But I feel like every now and then to get to jump in, or I would rather like. I think for me, well, two things. One thing that would be really, really amazing is I often do a lot of my own workouts like on my own time, like self-guided, that kind of thing. It would be amazing to be a student or a client in my studio and get to work out with them. I think that would
totally.
be the same type of thing, like just getting to hang out and go and do a workout with the community.
Yeah,
But then also I was even thinking, I was like, well, maybe who knows what's going to happen in the next 9 months? Like maybe I'm so out of the business that it really is just vision and direction, and maybe I pop in every now and then, or have like a regular like one class a week or something like that, where I really just get to pop in, do my thing, leave, and like, not worry about anything.
yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah.
Hopefully with the new reformers, there'll be more space so you can just go take a class for fun.
Exactly. That was the one thing. Like I always do my own reformer workout because I'm like, we only have 6. They're waitlisted.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amazing. Do you ever envision like long-term goal vision? Do you see opening another location or like what is kind of your like dream with Core Method?
Yeah. So well, there's two things. I would love to do a rebrand this year, like just really see how, because when we first did the branding for Core, it was kind of like, here's who we think we will serve. And I think it would be so amazing to be like, this is like, how do we bottle up the brand? So this is who we are today. This is who we want to continue to serve, and kind of do a little bit of like maybe not full rebrand, but refresh to be reflective of like who we are, and like that essence of what we've been able to bottle up. And
Mhm.
then on that same theme or thread, I've been talking for a little bit, like I would say maybe the last couple of months, thinking about how can we look at opening a tripod, is what I've been calling it, a tripod of studios uh, somewhere else, somewhere like far enough away that myself and my business partner don't have to get stuck in the day to day
Yeah.
again of business. And when I used to like a long time ago, I worked for an economic development agency, and our like in Halifax, Nova Scotia in Canada, our city planning was mirrored off of Boston. And I thought, how cool would it be for us to pretend, and they have bridges as well. So I'm
Yeah.
like, strategically place this like tripod of studios. That way we can hire staff full time to work across the studios, but the studios will not compete with each other for clientele. I think that would be the dream. Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I know we're coming up on time, so my last question is for somebody that wants to maybe have their own studio one day or their own Pilates business, what are like biggest pieces of advice that you would share with them?
Oh, you know what? I would say it's twofold. I used to also coach boutique Pilates, yoga. There was even some gyms, wellness centers, and so many people. Like I wore my marketing hat, like I was the marketing coach.
Mhm.
And when I would do discovery calls with people, I would ask them like, "What have you done, or what are you doing in terms of marketing? What has worked well? What has not worked well? What can we look at optimizing here?" And most owners expressed that it's largely word of mouth. And the last time that they really seriously took marketing of their business seriously was when they opened their studio. So you open your studio, you do all of these pre-sales, these marketing to like spread the word about like, this is who we are and we're going to be here. And it really is this moment in time to like maximize that opportunity. But I would say and challenge people to really, well, first, if you're a new studio owner and you're looking to do this, like really do a robust pre-sale. So build your wait list, do your pre-sale founding memberships, and like run that for like even 6 months after you open. Like pull the new card as long as you can, and then with that same intensity and amplification, continue to market your business that way. Because I can tell you, even into going into year 3 now, if we're not running ads, yes, there's a really slow, if not dried up, drip drop of leads coming in. But when the ads are on, we can choose how much to turn it on or to turn it down. And when we turn it off, it's off. But when it's on, it's on. So I would tell people to really take their marketing and sales seriously. And of course, with Moments, it makes it so easy because there's just opportunities to find leads everywhere. So it's not entirely the case. People can be on your website filling out forms, or they can abandon a cart, and all those opportunities are made known to you where they wouldn't have otherwise been. But I would say, like, take your marketing seriously, like work it into your budget however you can make it work, because you're just going to grow beyond what you would have thought possible pre-opening, year 1, year 2, and just beyond. Like, it doesn't have to take you 10 to 15 years to surpass 20, 40K months. Like, it's within your power. It's doable. You can make it happen.
Yeah. No, I love that. Thank you for sharing. Last question is, if you had to pick one Pilates move to do for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's so hard. Oh, okay. Maybe like, I'll just say lunges, because there's so many variations of lunges, because like on the reformer, you can do so many different, like the split series, and they're all like, related to the lunge. So I would say that's totally cheating.
Good. What's your favorite lunge position? Are you like a scooter person, split?
More of a split, like foot on the bar kind of thing.
Oh,
nice. Yeah.
For you. I'm not at that level yet.
Scooters are fun.
I do like scooters. Hey, thank you so much for doing this, being my guinea pig.
Yeah, I'm happy to.